Hello everyone, welcome to this JSON complete course. Today we will learn what is JSON, for what it's used, and how to create a JSON object. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, which is basically a format that was created from JavaScript object, basically to store and exchange data between systems. What does it mean? Let's see JSON, what it's used for. The most important thing, you will use JSON for APIs, which means basically sends data back and forth from client and server. For example, I have a form on my web page. Now all the data that I enter, my name, last name, where I live, and so on, will be converted into JSON and will be sent to the server. Now the server does something, maybe it will register me as a new user and will give us back a response. The response will be in a JSON format. We will read it, parse it, and use this response in our application. Otherwise, these configuration file, upsetting, and logging and data exports, you will see a lot of JSON used for package.json if you have Node.js project and so on. So you will find a lot of files in your project that will be .json as an extension, and you will use them just as for configurations. You will see an example in a few minutes. Then we will use it for local storage in the browser, or we will use it for NoSQL database. So basically, I would say this is the main three categories. I would say API, so send them as a exchange data. Then I would say storage, database, and browser, no difference here. And then configuration and data export, I would say three main groups of use cases. 99% of the use cases are one of these three groups. So what does JSON look like? This is a very simple JSON object. I will soon create here a JSON file. For now, let's stay here. Basically, every JSON object is an object like JavaScript, so we have curly braces. Then we have key value pairs. So this is the key, for example, name. I want to take your name. Name is the key. John is the value. Age is the key. 30 is the value. Every key must be string, so must be between double quotes, like this. If I want to add something more, let's say address, I will do between quotes. Let's say address, it's more complicated than this, so I will do a object in an object. It doesn't matter, so I would say maybe city. So again, key city, value, you just put something, and then comma, state, again, close, colon, let's say Arizona, and so on. So as you can see here, every key is in double quotes. Then we have a semicolon to distinguish the key from the value. The value can be multiple types of data types, which will be discussed them in a few seconds. So as you can see here, double quotes, key, colon, value, comma. Double quotes, key, age, colon, value, comma. Double quotes, key, colon, value, which is another object. And this object is basically the same of this one, which will have double quotes, key, comma, value, colon, value, comma, double quotes, key, colon, value. Why there is no comma after this one? Because there is nothing else here. So as you can see, this is an error. You will see in the JSON file, this is an error. This is a trailing comma, and it's not good. It's used in JavaScript, no problem with that. In JSON, you cannot have a comma, which means there is something more, but there is nothing else here. So the same here. This is not good. It's good if I have something else, then it's good. Here, no good because there's nothing else here. Okay, I think you get the point. Data types in JSON. JSON supports only a limited set of data types. There are more than you think, because here, basically everything here was a number or a string, but there are more than you think, but less than you might desire. So we support string, such as hello, just like the name John. We have number, just like this one is 12, or my age, which is 30 in this example. Then we have Boolean, true or false. Maybe let's say he's online. We're talking about maybe a chat application, and we want to know if this guy is online at the moment. No, he's sleeping, so it's false. Okay, then we got null. Maybe let's suppose that we got email address, but he didn't put anything, so it's null by default because we have no value. Null is the absence of value. Then we have the object. Just the same as the main root JSON object, we can have nested objects. So for example, address, it's clearly formed by many different parts, and so it's an object, and we can have arrays. For example, let's say this is a user, and he might have hobbies. Okay, so hobbies, I close, and this one is an array. Let's say, for example, I would call it football, maybe basket, and gaming. Okay, this seems good. And of course, we can have arrays into objects, just like this. Even if it doesn't make sense here, we can have that. We can have not only strings, we can have number, we can have null. So every type of data types that we have here can be nested one on another if it's basically an object or an array. Of course, we cannot have a number, which is also a null, and so on. So this is the basic syntax of JSON. Let's go here, and I will create a JSON object. Let's say index.json. Let's save this, close it, Control B, and I want to copy this into my JSON. As you can see here, it's already formatted. So I close this, and you can see clearly the colors for everything. The main curly braces are yellow in my theme, of course, but you can see that it's a different color. Then we have the key in light blue. In orange, the value has a string. This is a number. Blue, it's null or Boolean. The same colors you can see here for numbers, null, Boolean. This is an array, and this is another object. I can have another object maybe. Let's suppose another, and here another object. As you can see, every nested object has a different colors for their curly braces. Let's copy the same here, and we can go on basically forever. If you do Shift-Alt-F, you can configure a formatter. Yeah, this is fine. So you can type anything just like this, and you press Alt, Shift, and F, auto-formatted. That's it. So this is a basic JSON object. I want to copy-paste examples of other JSON uses. In this case, let's start with an web app manifest. Let me zoom out a little bit. You will have this type of JSON object in a manifest. I would say it's a manifest.json. Exactly. So it's a manifest.json if you're using a progressive web app, which means that if you're watching this video on YouTube, if you pay close attention to the URL bar, you will see an icon to install the YouTube website as an app on your PC or on your phone. That is a Progress web app, and to function, it needs the manifest JSON. I'm not here to discuss about PWA, but just to let you know that JSON, it's not just sending data or store them in a NoSQL DB. It's a very common, very common type of format. Then we can have the package JSON. I hope you know what is the package JSON. If you have already worked with Node.js, you know that a project has a version, description, the scripts to run, the dependency, the dev dependencies, and so on. If you're working with Node.js or front-end frameworks such as Angular, React, or whatever, they all have a package JSON, which is basically all JSON. So that's it. There's nothing else to say. We cover everything. You need to learn and understand JSON because it is literally everywhere in your development journey. But it's simple. As you can see, it took us, I think, under 50 minutes. Once you understand the syntax, it's basically the same every single time. The data types are just this one. There's nothing else to learn. The syntax is this one, as I was saying, double quotes, column, value, comma. Oh, let me show you. I was telling you about the trailing commas. Let's say, for example, I do this. As you can see, there's an error. Why? This is a trailing comma. I should not have a comma before nothing else. So we are implying here that there is something more, but there isn't. So now there is something more, and I get no problem at all, okay? But if I do the same, then I have a problem. So no trailing commas. Don't worry, you will have your IDE or the software you're using to write code telling you that it's not, that there's an error. So you will see it. As you can see here, it's red. Or maybe let's try with Alt-Shift-F. Well, it's gone. With the auto formatter, it's gone. I have nothing else to tell you. That's basically it. Everything else about JSON, it's basically interconnected with PVA, API, node project, and everything else. So there is no point to talk about those things here. I hope everything is clear. Let me know if you need other tutorials of any type, any courses you want me to make, and I'll see you in the next course. Bye.